Hi guys, welcome back to the Tech Diary. I'm very tired. I've just got back, yesterday from Barcelona for Mobile World Congress, MWC, whatever it's called. Very tired, which means this particular diary entry could go anywhere and could be interesting from your point of view. I also have a very noisy floor in the studio for some reason, apologies. This isn't my main channel, by the way. If you've just found me, I do have a channel called Mark Ellis Reviews where it's much more edited and I get to the point quicker and all that sort of stuff. This is very much, as the name suggests, a diary entry, which means I can just be a bit looser with the content and just give you my thoughts on the latest stuff that happens in tech. And today, there's only one thing worth talking about. Actually, no, that's not fair. There's two things worth talking about. No, not two. How many are there? Let's go through them. There is the new M4 MacBook Air, the new Mac Studio, which has a new chip, and if you just scroll down, the new iPad Air. Now, I use the term new very loosely here because none of it is that, well, technically it's all new, isn't it? Because they're new products, but they don't look much different, and the main differences are chip related, really, and maybe some colours as well. So not very exciting, but there's a whole narrative here. Excuse my coffee machine, everything's going wrong this morning. There's a whole narrative here which needs exploring fairly briefly. Let's start with the MacBook Air. So we now have an M4 MacBook Air, which has the M4 chip and a new colour called Sky Blue, which looks really nice. I'm not sure why I did that then, but it does look really nice. And this is how Apple gets you. So basically, they bring out a new Mac, or whatever it might be, new iPhone, etc., new iPad, and it's pretty much the same as the previous generation, apart from a spec bump, as they say. But to get you interested in it, they just give you a new colour, which is normally really nice. And I'm so fickle. I'm one of the most fickle Apple fanboys you're going to meet, which means if I see a nice new colour, well, what happens is I see the M4 MacBook Air, my immediate response is, oh no, it's just the same. Obviously it's just the same. What else are they going to do? And then I see they've got a sky blue colour, and immediately I want one. I want to get rid of the old, useless, the Starlight one that I've got at home. And I want to get this sky blue colour. How they do this, I don't know, but those are the main differences. I think there's also a difference with the number of displays it can support with the lid open, which is good. I think you can have two external displays with the lid open, which is good. Everything else is the same. I think the selfie cam, the FaceTime camera is slightly better, I believe, but everything else is just the same. I'd love to know, are you excited by this M4 MacBook Air? I guess if you've got an older MacBook Air, maybe you've got an M1 version, an M1 13-inch, and you're thinking, I'd like something a bit bigger. I'm a bit bored of the wedge design, that's old, and also I've had it for 4 years or whatever. Maybe this is a really good, in fact, if that's you, this is a great time to upgrade. It really is. This will be an amazing MacBook Air. I love the new design. I love everything about the performance. I love the fact that it's completely silent because there's no fan in it, etc. So if you are going from the M1 or even, let's say, an Intel MacBook Air, wow, to the M4, you're in for an absolute treat. For everyone else, that new colour though is nice. Anyway, the next one is the Mac Studio, which, bless it, it hadn't been updated for ages. I think we had the M2 version beforehand. It never got the M3, and now we have this brand new version, which comes with, well, you can spec this thing up to have the M3 Ultra. I think it starts with the M4 Max, but you can go right up to the M3 Ultra. I did that yesterday. I didn't buy it, obviously, for reasons you'll find out in a second, but I spec'd it up to the M3 Ultra with all the 512 gig of RAM, unified memory, everything, and it came to 14,000 UK pounds, which is a lot of money. But yeah, so we have this slightly weird thing with the Mac Studio now, where they've updated it to have the M4, but if you want to go above the M4 Max, you have to go to the M3 and to the M3 Ultra, which feels like you're going down a generation, even though you're spending more money. A bit weird, although then you start thinking the reason for this might be the fact that the Mac Pro hasn't been updated yet either. They need to put something big in that in terms of a chip. So obviously the big chip upgrade for the Mac Pro would be an M4 Ultra. So maybe they're keeping the M4 Ultra for the Mac Pro to make sure that that is then technically, in terms of benchmarks and stuff, faster, so complicated, faster than the M3 Ultra Mac Studio, I guess. The problem I have with the Mac Studio and the Mac Pro is that I cannot fathom who it's for. The reason for that is because we now have this, we have the M4 Mac Mini, which if you spec it up as I have with this one to the M4 Pro and all the unified memory in the world and all the rest of it, it's not particularly expensive really for what you're getting, but it's also incredibly capable. I can't fathom what stuff you'd be doing to need anything above that really. So who's using these Mac Studios? And then the Mac Pro, who needs all that power? I know there's people out there, but it's a very small part of the market, and for that reason I can't get excited really about the Mac Studio. The only thing I'll say is that I've never reviewed the Mac Studio ever. Not on this channel, not on the main channel, not even on short form. I've talked about it, I've interviewed someone else about it, but I've never had one. I've never even had one in the studio at all. So I am a bit tempted to get one in if I can get hold of one and do something with it. If I can get hold of that spec'd up 14 grand one, for instance, that would be a right laugh. I don't know what I'd do with it, but we'd have fun playing around with it. But it's just, the Mac Studio feels like such a faraway product, such a needless product for so many people. Just get a Mac Mini. If you need a desktop-based Mac, get the M4 Mac Mini. Trust me. But yeah, we now have this weird kind of chip thing going on. M4 Max, M3 Ultra. It's a bit confusing. Okay, so that's the Macs out of the way. The two Mac announcements this week. The other announcement, which came first actually, was the new the new iPad Air. Now I have an what is it? I think it's, told you this was a very, very unscripted and messy video. Okay, look what we found in here. The original AirPods Max. Lovely. We'll just leave all that on the floor. This is, I think this is the M1 iPad Air. And I'm getting it out just to, well, basically, I'm getting it out to make a point. So if we get it out of the Magic Keyboard case, this is the very nice blue colour M1, I think, iPad Air. Now, the one that they've announced this week, which is the M3 iPad Air, looks just like this, basically. I think it's got different colours. I think there's different colours that you can choose from. But basically, it's the same thing, but with a new chip. Nothing else is any different whatsoever, I don't think. I'm fairly sure that's the case. I think it's completely identical. The only other difference is the Magic Keyboard. This is the Magic Keyboard for this iPad Air, which doesn't have a function key row, and it has a smaller trackpad. The new one has a bigger trackpad and the function key row, which is very important. But the rest of it is the same. It's no different whatsoever, which again begs the question, who's it for? And it's for people who've got very old iPads. It's just like the iPhone 16e. Where's that gone? The iPhone 16e, my review for this will be hitting the main channel fairly soon, by the way, which I've switched to this from I don't even know where it is, from the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I've gone for it. I've gone all in with this thing. But I've learned that this is basically for people who have very old iPhones. And it's the same thing with this new M3 iPad Air. Everyone else can't, there's no way you can get excited about this unless you have an old iPad and you want a new iPad Air. For everyone else, it's just a non-event really. And because of that, Tim Cook, bless him, has received all sorts of flack on X. So he posted on X, I think earlier this week, meet the new iPad Air, showed an image of it, and I just had a quick look through the replies, and it doesn't make nice reading for Apple, although I'm sure they expect this. It's not, it's all this kind of, no innovation, Steve Jobs wouldn't have done this, all this stuff. It's not great. It's not a great kind of, there's not a very good aura around that release of that new iPad Air. But again, if you're coming from an earlier iPad, it's a massive upgrade, particularly if you come from the earlier iPad Air, which has just this size, and you want a bigger one. You can now get a 13-inch iPad Air, which with an M3 chip, which is just nuts. So I think we're in this kind of weird period with Apple at the moment, where their releases are basically for people who have older devices. That's how it feels. Whereas a lot of other brands are bringing out very innovative stuff, sometimes too innovative because it's just weird things that you never use in everyday life, but which look great at trade shows. But they do seem to be stepping a bit further ahead with certain things, whereas Apple are just kind of iteratively updating stuff with chip updates and stuff like that. And I think, again, I've got nothing to back this up. My guess is that they're trying to convert those old users, the people who keep hold of their iPads and their Macs and their iPhones for years and years and years. There's obviously a lot of those people. Apple knows this. They know their user base. They know what devices are out there being used. And I guess one of Tim Cook's biggest strategies at the moment is to get those people on newer devices, because there's loads of sales to be had there. That's how you kind of satisfy your investors, your board and all the rest of it. Once you've run out of new people to sell things to, you have to get the old upgraders to upgrade, basically. So that's, I think, where we are with this. But it does make it difficult for someone like me who has to, well, doesn't have to, but feels like he has to review this stuff. I don't really know where to start with these things. The one thing that there's two things. One is the Mac Studio. I think we need to do something with that. And the other one is just that blue, ridiculous, that sky blue MacBook Air, which just looks really nice. So I think I'll get one of those in. I'm at a point now with my M2 MacBook Air, which is my home laptop, which it's just feeling a bit sluggish. It has 8 gig of unified memory, which is a bit of a problem. I totally agree that is the case now. And the idea of getting a new one, which has 16 gig as standard and has that nice new sky blue color, is quite tempting. So I might do that. I might go and pick one up next week and then feature it on the main channel and maybe on this channel as well. Guys, that's enough waffling from me. I'd love to hear from you now. What do you think about Apple's multiple releases this week? Are they interesting? Are they not interesting? Are you getting any of them? Have you been waiting for any of them? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe. Where is that subscribe button these days? It's down here somewhere. Just hit wherever it is. Give it a subscribe, because it makes a massive difference to this channel, and we want to keep making these videos. So thank you. This feels very waffly as always, and I genuinely hope it's been interesting. Yeah, that's it. Lots of Apple releases, but it's a troubling time, isn't it? Troubling and then exciting for people who are upgrading from earlier versions. I don't know what to think at the moment. I'll keep thinking, and I'll sign off now. See you in the next one. Cheers.